So welcome listeners, we're back. It is another month of podcasts here on the Pottscast, the month of June. I'm Darren Potts, your host, as always, here on the Pottscast, and I'm kicking it off with undefeated MMA fighter. It is Taylor Mauldin. Taylor, welcome to the podcast. It's been a while. We've got you on finally. I'm delighted to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. We're very excited.
Good. Well, I'm really excited to get going in this because I think hopefully it's going to be a bit different for you. And one of the things I like to start on roundabout with all of my guests is the journey, because you're a professional in the MMA world. You're just coming off the back a week ago today of a phenomenal win in your professional debut. But before we touch on that, I wonder, where did it start? How did you get involved in this crazy, nuts, unpredictable world of mixed martial arts?
I know, it really is crazy when you think about it. Sometimes I sit back and I'm like, what is this real life? Like, am I really trying to do this? Honestly, it is like kind of like a dream come true to have this type of opportunity. A lot of people, well, because I work at the gym too, so a lot of people come in and they're just like, I want to fight, and it's like, all right, it's so much more than just walking into a gym and saying I want to fight. But for me, it started when I was probably 7. I was local to Rancho. I started training at a martial arts gym. I think it was karate. And we ended up moving around and going to a competitive karate gym and traveled the United States and competed. And then at the age of 15, I walked into Millennia. My dad registered me, and it has been an ongoing journey from then to now. But from 15 to about 20, I didn't really commit myself like I did when I was 20. Obviously, I made a dedication to the sport and stopped being wishy-washy and really just went in there 100% of the way and committed my whole entire life to MMA.
Amazing. So what happened? What made you at 20 years old say, you know what, I'm going to go for this 100%. I'm going to put everything into it.
So I've always had a very natural competitive edge. I've always been described as crazy psycho. And I don't like losing, and I've never not been good at something. And I know that sounds kind of cocky, but I just have that type of work ethic. When I'm not good at something, I want to be the best. And my dad's kind of like always had this mentality of he is the best, and anything he does, he's the best at it. And I've always just loved being around that and having that type of mentality. And so if I've never been good at something, I've always told myself I may not be good at it right now, but I'm going to be the best. And so having that type of mentality and just loving working hard is, I think, just what it is for me. It's not about, I mean, it's like 5% probably loving. I love to get that result of winning, but more of it's like I love to work hard. I like not being good at something and then feeling like I'm getting the best part of it. Like, all right, I'm getting to be the best at something, or I'm good at it, and things like that. It's so satisfying.
Yeah, that process of learning that whole thing is obviously what attracts you to it. And every single day there's something different. I think, like, especially with mixed martial arts, it's just so crazy that way.
There's just so many different aspects to like MMA. So to be the best at mixed martial arts is almost like, I think about it, and it's like almost a little impossible to be the best in it. But then as also like, I feel like it's possible, because then if it's not possible, what am I doing, But I don't know. So I guess like there's no end to it. And I think that's what's so appealing to me about it. I just feel like I could never see my life without MMA. It just would be so bizarre.
Yeah, 100% it would be, especially since you've been so committed from the age of 20 right the way through, not just being committed to your craft, but being committed to going pro and winning and all that sort of stuff. But as part of your journey as well, training every day, what motivates you every single day to get better, to train, to want to do this?
Well, I'd have to say for sure my kids, because it's not like this is my hobby. This is my entire life. If I'm not successful in this, it's kind of like I feel like, I'm letting my kids down because of the sacrifices I have to make for them, the time that I don't get to spend with them. Like there's just too much of a level of investment that I put into this to kind of just be wishy-washy in it. So I would never be halfway in, halfway out. I'm in this 100% of the way because I can't just waste my kids' time and their freaking, like, it's just I'm their provider.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're speaking to someone. I'm going to be a dad for the first time in September, and I'm extremely nervous. I'm like panicking
Oh,
about it.
how exciting.
But it's going to be fun. Like I'm nervous, but I'm excited about it. Did anything change with you regards being a mother and being a fighter, wanting to go pro? Was there ever a big decision that you had to make, or did it reinforce your desire to do it at the elite level?
So, this came up in the last couple times I've talked to people. I had a baby in 2017. We found out that we were pregnant, and it was like that moment where I was like, wow, like I don't know if I can pursue this anymore because now I have two kids. And it was just really kind of just having that moment of, okay, can I commit myself the way I could with one kid? And I can't, I don't know, I just, call me stubborn, call me stupid, I just can't let this go. Like I don't know what it is, but this is just something I have to see through. I started it and I want to see it through.
Well, you've started it and you're going down the right path, and shout out to LFA here because when I was, doing a bit of advertising on Twitter this week, I mentioned you were 2-0 and they were like, no, she's 1-0. And I was like, I'm sorry, I was including the amateur fight. You were 2-0 in, that people don't last long against you. That's what we found out and what we've seen from you so far, that you're in, you're out. It's almost like you want to turn up to the building, get your job done, leave as
Yeah.
quickly, as efficiently as possible. What I want to touch on before we touch on the LFA experience and your amateur experience is you mentioned Millennia. Tell
Yeah.
me about the atmosphere there, because your dad signed you up. You said that, and you became, let's put it, part of the furniture there, so to speak, if I can word it that way. Tell me about the atmosphere there, what the support there does to you as a fighter.
The support here is like really overwhelming at first. You walk into a gym and you just feel like you're in a sea of people. And it took me quite a while to kind of feel like somebody. And here, like, I just felt like I had the coaches really believed in me, and just feeling like that level of belief made me feel like, all right, I'm in good hands. They trust me and I trust them. So it was just kind of like in trusting the process, really. That's really important. And here, Roman kind of just took me under his wing, and I just trusted him to make sure that, he was putting me through the right training, and he really has guided me in the right way. And I'm just happy to be part of the team. And we have a really good team. And as far as like women in the sport of MMA, we definitely have quite a bit of women here that are up and coming in the sport of MMA, and if not already out here doing it. I know, I don't know if you're familiar with Mariah Miller, but she also just won her last professional debut. And so it's just really exciting. We have such a good, solid girls team. I'm sure you're familiar with Tatiana Suarez, and we have a lot of upcoming amateurs for females and stuff like that. So it's nice to see everything kind of come together, especially for myself and Mariah as debuters and part of the female team. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to see what happens. Especially you talked about the gym, you talked about the up and comers, the amateurs that's coming up. It seems to be a real hotbed of talent and a
Mhm.
real special place to be. I can tell just from the way you're talking about your gym and stuff like that. And you mentioned female fighters, and I think it'd be wrong of me not to bring up your sister. Tell
Oh,
me,
yes.
I have to. You haven't even mentioned her yet. It's almost like you want to pretend she's not there. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with her and what you see for maybe her future and where you guys go together.
It's funny, we were just talking, I want to say like yesterday, just about how we want to go about supporting one another in our MMA journeys. But as far as right now, like, she supports me like 110% of the way. And she's just coming off of an injury, so she's working her way, getting in there, going live again, things like that. She's just recovering from a shoulder surgery. So it's going to be exciting to be able to see her get out there again and start competing. But for right now, you know, because of the injury, she's been supporting me, facilitating like other opportunities to train, just like cross training at other gyms, getting that competitive edge, because you know, in the gym it's good, but you know, like it's home. So when you go to other gyms and things like that, it gets you anxious, it gets you in that fight mode. So she's offered a lot of that, so we bounce off of one another, and she's just like, without her, it'd be a little like more difficult, in the sense that, one, it's nice, she's a girl, she's my sister, and I could be totally turned on. So I'm like, dude, I don't know, we're up in this gym, we're like, so I always feel like she's like my best friend. So
Yeah.
we have a really good relationship. If had it not had the COVID restrictions, she probably would have been there with me, and it would have been really awesome, because it would have been like, we have this similar body type, we're in the same weight division, and I want to say she's like slightly taller than me, but we're really good work for each other.
Yeah, brilliant to hear that. And obviously with the whole COVID thing as well, it would have been really nice if she was in your corner
Yeah.
for the fight last week. And COVID, it's really destroyed, you know, maybe a year or so, if we can word it that way, for fighters. 2020 was a challenging year. I know you fought, you won your amateur fight, and then you eventually made it into the LFA. So tell me a little bit about COVID and getting through that, and maybe maintaining that mindset of my chance is going to come, because that must have been a difficult year for you.
It was kind of, but at the same time it kind of wasn't, because it really gave me the opportunity to kind of focus on jiu-jitsu, because a lot of like, there was like a lot of underground things going on at the time, because people were like, we still want to compete, and there was promoters still offering that level of competition, like underground. So it was just an opportunity for me to focus on that, and that's where I really stepped up my jiu-jitsu. And it's funny because that's where I've been the most successful in my MMA career, so it's really exciting. So honestly, as weird as it sounds, to have COVID, it wasn't really a setback for me. It was like an opportunity for me to really focus on jiu-jitsu. So that's why I wasn't a layoff here. It was more of an opportunity for growth.
Well, that's incredible that it was an opportunity for you to grow, and jujitsu as well. From a lot of the different people that I speak to and a lot of the different content that I consume, tell me about jujitsu and how crazy and nuts it is, because I think being able to manipulate somebody else's body parts just screams intensely nuts to me.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience with jujitsu and how important that is for you as a fighter now.
Yeah, so jujitsu, I feel like I slept on it for so long, and I've just done striking for the majority of my whole entire athletic career. So to kind of have that change of pace, well, I would say like jujitsu and wrestling in general. Anytime that I've done something, it's like I said, like it's never halfway in, halfway out. It's like 100% I'm in it. So I train like jujitsu twice a day, and right when I started, I was like obsessed. I love it because it's so much fun, and I feel like it's not as painful as striking. I can feel like I can walk away like from jujitsu twice a day without getting headaches and all that bad stuff. It is still hard on the body, hard on the knees. You're still getting choked, and like your joints are still getting locked out, manipulated, whatever. But and the cauliflower ear, black eyes, it's all happening. But I just I don't know, I love it. It's so much fun. I wish everyone should do jujitsu and wrestling. It's so important.
I keep telling the wife that, because when our child is born, I'm like, I want to get the child involved in some type of martial art. She's like, no, you don't, they're not being a fighter. And I'm like, no, it's really good. It teaches discipline and
Yeah.
respect and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's especially, we've seen through COVID, I don't know what it was like in the US, but certainly up here in Canada and where I'm from in the UK, depression and mental health and all that kind of stuff was rampant during COVID. And I find majority of people that had some form of outlet, usually a sport,
Mhm.
and especially in the martial arts, the mindset and the mental toughness, they seem to be okay. And that's a really crazy thing to kind of see and to say.
Yeah, it's just like working out in general. I feel like I don't have any like type of mental illness or anything like that, but it's a stress reliever. And especially in the middle of a pandemic when so many things were going on, I feel like it was so important to maintain that level of normal. Like that is, especially for an athlete, I cannot imagine what it would have been like to have actually not trained because of COVID. I remember talking to my family and I was just like, all right, so I had to make a decision because there was a time where a lot of people were taking COVID very serious, like wiping down your groceries. And it's like almost laughable now to see it, what levels of precaution that we were all taking to not get it. And but I just told myself, I was like, because we all thought like you could really die from COVID, and a lot of people did die, but it was just like I was just like, I'm not gonna stop living my life because of COVID. I did live my life, and I'm not gonna hide in my house. So I just told myself it was a risk I was gonna take.
Well, ultimately, it paid off for you because your jiu-jitsu game got so much stronger. You were able to really progress and learn and develop that year, which led to this year. And now I want to get into LFA because you walked in there last week for your debut and you looked in phenomenal condition, brilliant shape. And I feel like no matter who was put in front of you last week, you were going through them. Tell me, what was your mindset like walking in there knowing it was your professional debut?
So I don't know that people know this, but I actually had a Muay Thai bout that I lost. It was the first fight I ever had. And I just remember feeling that level of pain after you lose. And I just knew that losing wasn't an option. I was like, this girl is going to have to knock me out for me to like accept the fact that I'm going to lose. So I'm going to walk out of here with my hand raised, or I'm not going to walk out at all. I was like, losing just wasn't an option. I remember just like, I just asked God, I was like, look at God. I was like, I know you probably love this girl too, but I don't need you to like somehow like help me win, but I just need to feel you when I walk in there. I just want to feel your energy and just like, let me be healthy, let me get this win, and we're good. And I was just I was just thinking about my kids, and there was just losing was an option. I wasn't gonna let this girl take it from me, especially like before the weigh-ins. She kind of like I could tell like her mentality was like, this is a fight, like she didn't really, I feel like, have respect for me. There was just a couple moments where I was like, that's a little unnecessary, and then all the way like leading up into the cage, like kind of like her demeanor and things like that, I was like, no, this isn't gonna happen to me. I'm not losing. There's no way. And I was just looking at her, I was just like, no, this girl's not gonna take it from me. And we just came in there with a game plan and we executed the plan, and it was history. Like, it's just over. It's on to the next one.
It was flawless. That was the way I would describe your performance. I thought it was flawless, whether at the start, how you began the fight, and then as soon as you got to the ground, that submission looked excruciating. Was that something that you planned for, or was that like, you've left your arm hanging, I'm just taking it?
No, well, I think like I rewatched the fight, and it was like I think like people don't realize that when I was on top and I was passing guard, that she actually swept me and she had my foot. But it was okay because right when she had my foot, she actually put my foot exactly where I needed it. And I love leg locks. And I remember in the fight, my coach was like, no. And I was like, no, it's okay. I got this. Like, I know exactly where I'm going right after this. And initially I was going to do the heel hook, which I'm glad I didn't, because it's just, I know that heel hook is, a lot of people are scared of it because you can blow your entire knee, but there's like, you can roll out of it. When I locked up on her on the knee, the way that it was figure forward and stuff like that, there was no way she was going to get out of that. But from the moment she swept me, I was still thinking like heel hook, but then when she tried coming up on top, and because my arm, she was trying to go for like an arm bar and my arm was in between her legs, but that just meant that I had already isolated the leg. And because she had swept me up with the foot on the outside of the hip, it was just like she kind of put me where I needed to be. So it was just done after that, especially because I love leg locks. My coach was like talking to my sister. He was like, "Your sister and her freaking leg locks."
Just right.
So addicting. It feels so right, but I guess it's so wrong.
Just the perfect moment. It just came together for you. And what did it mean for you when that fight ended? You had your hand raised. What was the feeling that you had in that cage?
Yeah, of course. It was really overwhelming. I wanted to cry my eyes out because everything I sacrificed just to get there. All like people think like 3 weeks. That's when I got the fight, was at a 3-week notice.
Yeah.
But I was already training hard. I was training hard for 3 months before that because I knew that if I was going to get the opportunity, it was going to be like last minute. In 3 weeks, I was just like so happy for everything to kind of like work its way out, because we got offer after fight offer, and it was almost like something was always going wrong, and I was just like, damn dude, like I don't know, what am I gonna do? Like I'm over here cutting, like my diet was on point, and I was just like, I just want a burger. And then we got that fight, and time was working against me. I had to get medicals done. I had to find a way to get all these sponsors. And it was crazy. And I just got my hand raised and I just wanted to cry because of everything I put on the line. It was just so important to me to walk out of there with that, getting my hand raised.
I think one of the things that goes under the radar sometimes with fights, and you mentioned it about getting sponsors ready, having your diet on point, you know, fans like myself who sit in the couch and watch the fights, we see a fighter walk out and we watch the fight on TV and goes, that was crazy, that was nuts, or that was brilliant, whatever. But we don't see the 3 to 4 weeks prior of the craziness in the build up. You know, the mental side. Who am I fighting? Where am I fighting? Where am I going? What sponsors do I get? What time do I have to be there? Do I have to organize flights? What's happening with my kids? Who's minding the kids? You know, there's so much stuff that goes on in behind that I don't think we realize as fans. And it's really interesting to hear you talk about that. Is that something that you enjoy as part of the fight game, or is it something that you find is like this nuisance part, but you kind of have to do it anyway?
Well, I mean, yeah, no one wants to do medicals. Like that took me 2 days to 100% complete it. But once it's done, it's just like, that was such a relief. So, I mean, it's just business. It's just a part of what it is. Yeah, it's not fun to have to go do those things, but it has to be done. But as far as sponsorships, it is stressful, but it also is kind of like, it is nice because then you start to see like people really believe in you and they're putting their name on you. So you are representing their brand. And so everything you do is like, you know, you're not just representing yourself and your family, it's these brands and things like that. So you always want to make sure you're making the right decision and doing the right thing. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of people don't think about that when they do stupid stuff. Like there's some like girls that like, I have seen it where like fully sponsored girls, and I have seen like girls spit their own blood on their like people they're fighting in the octagon. I'm like, oh, I don't know, man, you might lose a couple sponsors because of that move, you know? And like fans, like I think that's just, I don't know, they're just, don't act stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Just nice, be cool, do your thing out there. There's ways to be marketable. You don't have to do all the nonsense and stuff like that. And so, but I enjoy it. The sponsorships, I enjoyed seeing the level of support and things like that. Family, friends, and people that believed in me. It's nice.
It must be, you know, I mean, like I've played football, and I say football, soccer at a very recreational level, but when you get to a cup final or whatever, and people are giving you like walkout shirts with their spot, it really lifts you to the next level. And I can only imagine what that must feel like at a professional elite level, because that's the level you're operating at now. You're in the top 1% in the world of mixed martial artists. You're professionally fighting, not just national TV. I think we forget sometimes we say national TV, but it's worldwide with the UFC Fight Pass. There were people in the UK. I told a couple of friends that we were speaking this week, and they were on watching the fight back home in Ireland, being like, "Oh, she's a killer. She's gonna kill people." You know what I mean? But it's crazy. Does that you mentioned earlier about your opponent last week and the lack of respect? You maybe felt that at the start. When the fight was over, was there any altercation, any speaking, anything like that, or was it just go your separate ways after?
No, there was like a moment where it was so awkward. I was walking out of the bathroom and I did see her sitting there, and I remember thinking like, man, I've been right where you are, like, and I just went up to her, said, thank you for taking the fight. It was fun. And I think like she had an accent, but I'm pretty sure she knew what was up. But she was super nice, really, really, really. She had a very soft demeanor, and I kind of just was like, dude, you were like super cool. Like, why do you have to act so dumb? And like before, like we probably could be friends. But and you never know, we might still be friends after and stuff like that. And just I don't know, there's just a level of sportsmanship in everything you do. And I'm just not the type of person to kind of get caught up in the nonsense of acting who's tougher, who's gonna look away first at the weigh-ins and things like that. That's not me. To me, that stuff doesn't matter. If I'm gonna win, I'm gonna win. It doesn't matter. The whole eye contact, it's full crap.
It's interesting that you say that. I have a friend of mine back home in Northern Ireland, Reese McKee. He fought a couple of times in UFC, and his first fight was against is it Kazmat? I think it was Kazmat, and he said that he was like in the way, like eyeing him up in the weigh-ins and like shadow boxing at him and stuff. And I was just curious about that stuff. Does that get into a fighter's head? Was there anything? Has that ever get in your head? Anything like that, or is it just silly?
To me, it's just silly. I'm just like, I mean, I can't imagine that it actually works against anybody, but to me, I'm just like, it just seems like they're scared. Like if you have to do that type of stuff to try to get into my head, like that's all the extra stuff. Like you feel like you have to do that to get to me, like then it just honestly makes me feel like I already have an advantage because you have to go out of your way to try to intimidate me. It's like we're gonna fight. Like it's gonna happen. Like all this extra stuff you're gonna do, like don't worry, your time's coming. I don't need all the extra.
Yeah, literally. I mean, the door's going to close in that cage and you're about to go to war. Like that is going to happen.
Yeah, and we don't need to do all the extra stuff. It's just nonsense. It's just for show. I feel like.
I agree. And I think what's funny is, and obviously I'm biased towards him because he's from Ireland as well, but I think it's really because Connor's been quite successful with that. There's almost been a lot of people thinking, oh, if we do this, all this sort of stuff. And I think it kind of is up the game to that, if I can use the word pantomime, maybe WWE style of
Oh yeah.
stuff, trying to sell the fights.
Yeah, it does. All that stuff it does. But on our level, like I don't think you need to do that. Maybe like if we're like title fight. All right, let's go. Let's talk some crap. Let's hype it up. But we're like the first fight on the card. Oh my god, I don't know.
You mentioned the title fight. What are your goals? What are your long-term goals, your aspirations in the sport? When it's said and done, what do you hope to have accomplished? And then even bring it a little bit closer. What's next for you?
I'd love to get a couple more fights with the LFA and build up a solid foundation. And then obviously, end goals UFC. I'm not quite sure if like 125 will always be my division. I'm kind of like debating on going 115, 125, but right now it's going to be 125 until I can walk around a little lighter. But obviously I want to see, I definitely can see myself fighting for the title at some point. You never know, but it's so far away. It's just like I just thinking about what's next, like short-term goals and let's big time pictures. I want to get that call to get into the UFC would be amazing. It's everyone's dream to go there.
I think you're right. You said, like it's so far away. It might be far away, but that far away could be 2 to 3 years, or it
Yeah.
could be 4 to 5. And that goes so fast. As much as it feels far away, it goes so fast. You've come out of that last fight completely unscathed. You could probably fight relatively soon again, and you keep doing it the way that you're doing it. And as a former guest of mine has said, Grant Dawson, he says, if you're not finishing fights, you're not getting the call. You're
Right.
finishing fights, you're finishing the fights early, and you definitely have a desire to prove yourself. Um, you talked about the UFC, and that's the big goal.
Yeah.
What do you expect when you get to the UFC? Does anything change, or do you just keep doing what you're doing?
Nothing's gonna change. I'm already working. I don't see myself being able to work it any harder than I already am. There's just my level of commitment is just like I'm just here like every day. There is not a day I don't see the gym or some level of freaking training is always constant. It doesn't stop. I think, yeah, maybe like Sunday. I think we flew back Saturday. Sunday, I was already in the gym. Like, I don't care. This is what we're doing. I was okay. I was healthy. There was no reason for me to take a day off. Like, I'm healthy. We're all good. I saw my family, and that was probably the most important thing. And then we're back to it. Like, it goes on.
This is no days off. Every day there's something going on. About that, about training, whenever you're in a camp for a fight, what changes in your training from perhaps just a standard month, so to speak?
Well, not very much. We might hone in on a couple of things depending on who I'm fighting. I like to study. The couple fight opportunities that we had right away, I just rewatched the fight over and over and over and over again. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want to watch a lot of people like will fight somebody and have never watched them fight at all. To me, I'm like, I will just watch and watch and watch and watch over and over and over again to see just like there's just always an opportunity to learn something. And so that's what I do to prepare. I will study films, study a lot, and then just drill things that I think that would be work good against them or things that they do. I'll have like my training partners try and put me in those positions and then work out of it, just in the event that those things do happen. And it's just feeling like it just helps me mentally feel like really prepared and settled any kind of anxiousness that I might be having going on.
It's incredible. I love the idea of studying and preparation. I think you're preparing not to fail, if I can say it that way. Your kids, for example, do they see mama as the fighter? And are you going to be getting them involved as they get older in some form of martial art?
Yeah, so I have an 11-year-old and she's already training, so she knows like this is part of our life. So she knows. And she's super competitive. She's just like her mom. She's psycho on the mat, and so it runs in the blood. Our whole family is like that. It's probably because all my dad's fault. He's just going like mess us up here. Like we have to win, and losing is not an option. So yeah, that's the thing for the kids. Unfortunately, they have to work hard all the time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't know if this has happened in the US or not, but I know like back home in the UK where I'm from, but they always award everyone first, second, and third in all the sports days, but they've started handing out participation awards. And from what I've started speaking to, especially athletes over that side of the world, they're like, no, 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 you need to allow people to feel what it's like to lose so
Mhm.
they grow and work and get better. I'm just curious. I'm assuming they don't do that in the US. I haven't heard anything, but I know in the UK, it's very much a participation award, and whoever wins just gets a kind of bigger one. And it just feels very silly that in my opinion, because I'm quite competitive as well, I feel like that competitive mindset is needed to really succeed, especially in this level.
I think there's so much positive to be taken away from losing and from just being competitive in general. I think that having that level of being competitive, it creates work ethic. And work ethic, if you have work ethic, then that'll help with work, school, your relationship, all those things. Without work ethic, it's just kind of like, I don't know. I just think you will never be good at anything if you don't have good work ethic. Because if you suck at something, you're not gonna want to work on it. And so and the participation thing, I kind of see like with younger kids how they want to like build up their confidence, but you can do that other ways too. Losing helps, dude. Losing helps. No one likes to lose. And that will definitely get somebody geared up to work hard on the next one for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you too. One thing you mentioned there was work ethic. And what I like to ask is characteristics that
Mhm.
you believe help, or you believe are needed, if I can word it that way, are needed for someone if they want to go professional or if they want to take any form of mixed martial arts seriously? What is needed to succeed?
I think consistency, like if you're not going to be consistent in whatever you decide to do, you're not going to see the results you want. And I remember I recently have been thinking about like is this even healthy to be at the gym like all the time? Just like I don't know, like I just have to show up. Like some days I don't want to, like everything in my body is like, don't do it. And then I show up anyways. And that's really what just kind of like gets me through everything. I just show up. I don't care. I just show up all the time. Morning, afternoon, midday. I'm just here.
Always showing up, part of the furniture, as I said earlier, at the gym. You're there every day. I know your daughter's involved there as well, which is incredible. You've mentioned the LFA. You want to do a couple more fights in LFA, and that's probably what's next for you. So fingers crossed that happens. I love watching the LFA cards. They're always fun, always entertaining. Hopefully that's what's in your future. Really excited to see what happens. But what I want to finish off with is I like finishing off with a couple of like random fun, but maybe slightly sillier questions. And I want to get to know you a little bit better. So for people who maybe only know you as the fighter, I want to get to know you a little bit better. So one of the questions I'd like to ask is, when you were a kid, who was your favorite, either cartoon character, hero, superhero, whatever, someone you looked up to as a kid?
I like this Sailor Moon. I don't know. I don't know if anybody watched that.
My wife watched that. She'll appreciate that answer.
Bunny, the lemon. I love it. I could sing the whole song.
I mean, if you want to, you can. There are no rules to this podcast.
Well,
So your favorite growing up, Sailor Moon was one of those shows. What about your favorite snack as a kid, whether it be like a sweet or a candy or chips, something like that? What was your go-to?
my go-to would be like a Babe Ruth. I don't know what it was about. I hate them now, but growing up, my dad coached baseball, and I think because the wrapper at the time had baseball on it, and I just was like, I like it. I don't know. It's a bunch of. It's almost like a payday. Either a payday or Babe Ruth, but one of the two.
You mentioned earlier about a burger. You know, whenever you're on your diet at some point, you would love the burger. What's your go-to now? Where's your go-to cheat meal venue? Is it McDonald's? Is it Wendy's? Where do you go?
It's funny. So I like Big Macs from McDonald's. It's so funny because my friend got me a gift card to McDonald's. She knows how much I wanted them. I don't know. I love Big Macs, so she got me that after I went to the here. Go eat. I was like, you know me.
Speaking of, right, you come back from LFA, you see your family all on the Sunday. Did you go to McDonald's? Did you go out and have some like just crappy food somewhere and celebrate on the Sunday?
Oh yeah, but I definitely have. We're cutting back now because we're back to competing and stuff. But yeah, nonstop. Right when I weighed in, I never stopped eating. I weighed in probably like I know it's probably not a lot, but I weighed in like 7 pounds heavier than the day before I was able to gain 7 pounds.
What were you eating in
And
that day?
I just like I ate pretzels like nonstop because I was like salt and carbs. And then I just ate like anything I could. There was a little cafe in there too, and I just got honey buns and anything you could think of, I was grabbing it.
Brilliant. What about your favorite movie? Do you have a favorite film
Favorite movie? Oh,
or series? Could be a series of
series.
films.
Okay, I like that. My favorite series would have I will say series, but there's this new one that I really like. It's called Short Time or something like this, but it's about the new Bitcoin currency, and it's really cool. It's on Netflix. I really like it. I'm addicted to it right now. I'm in season 3.
Oh wow, I'm gonna have to look that up because I have some investment in there right now, and I have not touched it, so I'll look that up. Um, who do your daughters look up to? Do they look up to do they look up to you? Do they have a favorite, like a hero, Spider-Man, Superman? I don't know.
I mean, I hope they look up to me, but I know my oldest daughter. she's obsessed with anime, so I will say Pie's a freaking anime superhero, not her mom. But my youngest one, she's a daddy's girl, so probably her dad.
Yeah.
Not me.
Another one I like to ask is your strangest habit.
Strangest habit? Oh my god. I get made fun of this a lot, but I clean a lot. I clean like my ceilings and the walls. I get made fun of for that, but I feel like I don't know. No one likes to be in a dirty house. And I will sit there at night and I'll notice something like, oh my God, how did that even get there? And I'll clean it right away. I get made fun of for that. So I would say cleaning. Also, TikTok has a whole subcategory of cleaning hacks, and it's a hobby of mine to find them all.
Scrolling on TikTok to watch
Yeah,
people clean.
it really is a thing. There's so many tricks.
What about one thing you couldn't do without?
One thing I couldn't do without.
It can't be a person.
It cannot be a person.
Can't be a person.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. One thing I cannot do without. Are we talking like end of the world? Like, I know this is okay.
Maybe let's put it this way: if you had to drive from your gym to South Dakota for your next LFA fight, and you could only bring one thing with you in the car, what are you bringing?
An audio, audiobook and podcast. So probably my phone. And internet service. Can I say that?
Yeah, you have it on your phone, so yeah.
Okay, yeah, my phone. I'm sure everyone says that.
It has to be, doesn't it? Especially that long a drive.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's good. What music? Tell me your favorite artist, favorite stuff you like to listen to.
Right now, to get me like hyped up for training, I like a Keen Star, and like Hippie Sabotage or something like that. It's on Spotify. It really gets me going on the mat. I'm just like, gets me like in the zone to train hard.
Get you in the zone to punish people. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad we finally got a chance to sit down and do this. For anyone that's listening to us who wants to find you, social media, keep up to date with what's going on, where are you at in social media?
They can find me at Taylor_Mauldin_93 on Instagram.
That's the only platform. You're not tweeting on Twitter. You're not arguing with people.
No, you won't get me on Twitter doing that. No.
Just skip it all the chaos. It's a good move. It's a good move. But this has been a lot of fun. Taylor, thank you so much for giving me 45 minutes of your time today. I really hope you enjoyed it. It is the first episode in the month of June for the podcast, and for you guys listening in, hopefully you continue to listen in for some more content. I'm sure we'll have Taylor back on the show at some stage, whether in the build up to a fight or coming off another victory, whenever that may be and whenever that all comes to fruition. But Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really excited.